friends. Welcome back to Dream Big Today. And so today we're just going to do about 15 minutes of just what we call the new nuggets. And so what I'd like to ask you is, have you been digging through the Word to find your promises? God's got all kinds of stuff written down in here that He's promised. We're going to read a few of them in today's reading in Psalms 89. Now, we just have a portion of Psalms 89 today. It's the last section. I guess maybe last two sections. It's verses 38 through 52 of Psalms 59. And as I started reading that, it was really, I thought, oh, what a sad psalm. It started out saying, why have you rejected me, the one you anointed? And as I read on down, it's just like misery. Oh my goodness. I started underlining the misery words. It says, you have rejected him, cast him off, you're angry, you've renounced, you've thrown, you've broken, ruined, you've strengthened his enemies, you made his sword useless, you ended, you have made him old. So many things. And so I just stopped. And so this is the end, towards the end of Psalms 89. So let's just back up. Have you been reading as we do our 1 year Bible every day? You would have read the first part of Psalms 89. So I backed up a little bit to just do a rundown, excuse me, of the whole Psalm so we can understand the last part of the Psalms. So this Psalms today is written by Ethan. He was a Levite leader and possibly one of the head musicians of the temple. And so to help understand that a little bit, we're going to pop into 1 Chronicles 15:16. And you would have thought I would have had that one marked, and apparently I didn't. But he was selected. I have it in my notes somewhere. Yes. He was selected as one of the leaders, one of the Levites appointed to sing joyful songs. And so I hit on that on 1 Chronicles 15:16, joyful songs. Well, he really started out great singing joyful songs, and he didn't end so well. But he was appointed to do this. And so, now as we go back and look, he begins back over in verse 1 of Psalms 89. It's the preparatory words from the psalmist. And it's the promises to David. And he says, this forever song I sing of the gentle love of God. Young and old alike will hear about your faithful, steadfast love, never failing. And so the forever song, as we skim through this section, this chapter 89, we see that he is in verse 4 talking about every generation. If we go on to verse 29, he's talking about the days of heaven. And then there was, as long as the sun is in the sky, this is continued time. Seems like there's one more and I may be missing it. But anyway, he's talking about God's steadfast love forever, never failing. He talks about so many things in, for example, 5 through 18, praise, feeling just words about the Lord. And he tells about, can you hear it? Heaven is filled with praises. Now I'm reading out of the Passion Translation. And he says, you are surrounded by trembling ones who are overwhelmed with the fear and dread. So awesome are you, O Yahweh, Lord of God of angel armies. Where could we find anyone as glorious as you? And then he says, I'm jumping on over into the second portion, which is starting in verse 19. This is the second poem in this group that's God keeps his promises. And it says here, you spoke to your prophets in vision, saying, I have found a mighty hero for my people. I have chosen David. I have anointed him. I will be strength to him, and I will give him my grace to sustain him no matter what comes. So let's just stop there for a second. He does the same thing for us. He has chosen you. He has anointed you. He will give you strength and grace. He will crush every adversary for you. And so these 19 through 29 are promises to David. But as we look on down through here, it's great promises for us too. In verse 30 it says, but if his children, now here's the turn in everything that Ethan has written. It's been about God's promises to David, God keeping his promises, and now at the end of God keeping his promise, this is a big deal. But if his children turn from me and forsake my words, refusing to walk in my truth, not their truth, not their friend's truth, because I hear that all the time. Well, your truth is different than my truth. Well, that makes no sense. That means there's no truth. You could probably say, my experience is different than your experience. But truth is truth. This is truth. But if his children turn from me and forsake my words, refusing to walk in my truth, renouncing and violating my laws, these are his laws, then I will surely punish them for their sins with my stern discipline until they regret it. And then at the end of this it says, but I will never, no never, lift my faithful love off their lives. God will always love David's descendants. How could I revoke my covenant of love that I promised David? For I have given him my word, my holy, irrevocable word. How could I lie to my loving servant David? And then at the end of, I think that's probably verse 37, this covenant will be an unbreakable promise that I have established for all time. Now in 2 Timothy 2:13, it says, if we are unfaithful, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny who he is. We get down to the reading today. And it's the third poem. Why has our king been defeated? So this made me kind of think, as after I read the first part of it again to connect all of it, it's like whenever you're around somebody and you're just hearing the good news, the encouragement and everything that is just getting you all charged up and you just love it. And you're happy and joyful and you're just high-fiving everybody. Then everybody's gone, you go home, you crawl into bed to go to sleep, and then you feel this. Why have you rejected me, the one you anointed? Why would you cast me away? Why would you lose your temper with me? You have torn up the contract you made with me, your servant. You have stripped away my crown or my dignity and thrown it to the ground. Can you just imagine hearing these thoughts roll into your mind whenever the lights are out, everybody's gone, and here you are. these are the complaints that Ethan has written on why the king has been defeated. In verse 45, it says, "Because of you, I've become old before my time, and I am publicly disgraced." You know, I think about that, and whenever we get all wound up into the mess of the message that we hear on TV, over the phone, on text, whenever somebody sends you, doom and gloom stuff, and it just wears you out, and it just makes you feel like you're just aging as, with every word that they speak that's not wholesome. And you feel like, I'm becoming old before my time. The fourth poem is Save Us, God. And Ethan says, "How long will you hide your love from me? I should have had another glass of tea before I started this. How long will you hide your love from me? Have you left me for good?" 47 says, "Remember, Lord, I'm nothing but dust, here today and gone and soon blown away." Ethan is pleading with God's blessings to happen in his lifetime. He wants to see it. And that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. I would like to see the blessings too that come to my family while I'm still alive. I would just like to have the joy in seeing that. Remember, Lord, I am nothing but dust, here today and soon to blow away. Is this all you've created us for? For nothing but this? Which one of us will live forever? Are we mortal, terminal, or for one day we'll all die? So my question for you is, with those words spoken, are you living life intentionally? If you're like dust to soon be blown away, and of course in Oklahoma, when we have these windy days, we can see how fast dust can be blown away, never to be seen again. Unless if it falls into my living room, and you see it all the time. But if we live a life intentionally, we can see with our spiritual eyes the blessings that's going to be coming on the people that we pray for. We can see what is possible whenever a mighty God is in the works. Verse 49 begins kind of a second portion of this Save Us, God. It says, "So God, where is all this love and kindness you promised us? What happened to your covenant with David?" Oh, let's go back over to verse 37. He said, "This covenant will be an unbreakable promise that I have established for all time." And here he says, what happened to your covenant? Have you forgotten how your own servants are being slandered? Lord God, it seems like I'm carrying it all in my heart, all the pain and abuse of many people. Don't you feel that whenever you go to bed at night and all of these things, everything negative throughout the day, throughout the last week or month, or then maybe your mind has just churned it around to where you can just look at all the negative for your whole life. That's not healthy. Let's leave the past where it belongs and let it be historical, and then get into the present. And then look for the blessings. Down to verse 52, it says, "Nevertheless," no matter whatever has happened, from the beginning to the end, nevertheless, blessed be our God forever and ever. This is like that little doxology at the end of the Psalms. So what do we do with this? Let's see if we can apply this to our life. Now, God never lies. He remains faithful even when we're not. He knows what I'm going to do tomorrow. He knows what I'm going to do today. He knows the decisions I'm going to be making in 10 years if I'm still on this earth. We too are awaiting a king, just like Ethan is talking about here. And one more thing, praising God's timing is more fitting than complaining about his delay. Think about that. Praising God's timing is more important than complaining about his delay. So, in praying the whole Psalms 89, we're going to crunch it down into the cliff notes of it. Lord, you've always been faithful to me. Lord, there is none like you in heaven or on earth. Thank you for blessing me with your presence. Father, I won't be here much longer. Let me experience your blessings now. Those blessings come to me through my friends, through little whispers that I hear throughout the day, through the flowers that I see out in my yard, through every little detail that just makes me stop and think, oh man, he is so good. Our Father is so good today. So thank you for joining me for just a little snippet today. Elizabeth will be back tomorrow, and you have a blessed afternoon and look for the blessings.